Hey there, folks. Welcome to my retro media room. Today, I want to take a look at 10 movies that are quite obscure, very good, but came out before the 2000s. So, this is going to be a trip down memory lane for me because these are movies I've seen throughout the years that I really enjoy. For movie buffs, you're probably going to know quite a few of these, if not all of them. This is more so for your average moviegoer that is either too young or they just weren't paying attention enough to movies to know what these are because these are fairly obscure. Like Silverado here, for example, this is the 1985 Western, very good. What's that Western from the 80s that most people know and talk about? Young Guns with Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez, which is an excellent movie. I love that movie. But I think this is an even better film and it's quite different, but it's also from the 80s. It's also a Western, but yet that's the one that everybody talks about. Nobody talks about Silverado as often as Young Guns. So that's a good example of what we're going for here. So Silverado here, this is actually the movie that kicked off Kevin Costner's career because he was not a household name at this time. He's very fun in this, very good. He plays the younger brother of Scott Glenn's character. This is a big cast, a lot of great characters, a lot of great actors. It's really well filmed. It's action packed. You really care about the characters. It's got a great screenplay. Everything about it is really solid. It's really good. Absolutely an 80s classic. But even though I love Young Guns, Young Guns has that 80s flair, I guess you could say. There's a little bit of that. This actually is less, it feels more 90s than it does 80s, even though it's from the mid 80s. So Silverado is an excellent, excellent movie. And I'm really glad I got a hold of this. I had to track it down on eBay. This is a special binder edition of the Blu-ray here that is pretty, as far as I know, is out of print. And it has this little book in here with set pictures from the movie and the film. So very cool. Yeah, highly recommend this if you want a good modern Western. This is absolutely, I would say, in the top 3, top 5 modern Westerns, up there with Open Range and such. And the next movie is another modern Western I would recommend. Next up is a 1990 Western, Quigly Down Under, starring Tom Selleck. Of course, Tom Selleck being famous for Magnum PI. Shout Select has been doing a really good job of releasing these 4K physical releases of classic movies. This movie is so much fun. It's a really, really cool Western. Tom Selleck is like top of his game in this. Alan Rickman plays the main villain. I mean, it is an excellent, fun Western. It has a rather simple plot, but it's so well done and executed with the characters and the direction and the screenplay that you don't think about how simple the plot is. It's just how you just think about how fun it is and how good it is, how cool it is. So yeah, Quigley Down Under is absolutely fantastic. Easily one of the best modern westerns that I've ever seen for sure. Like I said, up there with Open Range and Silverado, because you have all the classic westerns throughout the 40s, 50s, and 60s. There wasn't, and some in the 70s too. So really all throughout time, but it was really the heyday of like the 50s and 60s and a little bit 70s. And then the 80s, what few there were, like Young Guns and Silverado, then there was Quigley Down Under to start off the 90s. So I really like that these good Westerns have always stuck out throughout time because I love Westerns, and this is certainly one you want to check out. Next is a 1997 thriller, Breakdown, starring Kurt Russell. I think this is one of Kurt Russell's best performances. It's a really intense movie. It's better that you go in blind because it has a lot of twists and turns and mystery to the story. It's really great. And for those that may not remember the title, this is the original poster from when it first came out and the original box art. And it's an excellent movie. This is a fantastic release from Paramount Presents. They do these really nice slip covers, and then here's the case inside. It Could Happen to You. Yeah, really, really cool movie. Easily one of Kurt Russell's best in terms of his more darker, serious thrillers. Yeah, really excellent. I highly recommend it. Next is a 1983 David Cronenberg film, The Dead Zone. In his mind, he has the power to see the future. In his hands, he has the power to change it. Really excellent little movie here. This is Christopher Walken, Martin Sheen. This is a very unique little movie. I would say it's a supernatural crime thriller. Best way I could describe it. Don't want to give away too much of the plot, but it's really worth checking out if you like crime thrillers. This is a very nice release from Paramount. And of course, I love, love, love slipcovers. So I'm very glad that I got a first run with the slipcover and everything. This is Blu-ray and 4K. This is actually out very recently. So if you're interested, I would say check it out now on Amazon. Next is another Kurt Russell film, Soldier from 1998. This is actually a really cool science fiction movie. Kurt Russell spent an entire year physically preparing for the role. It's really well done. It's well shot, well directed. It's got cool effects. There's a rumor that it is loosely connected in the universe to Blade Runner, but I'm not sure how true that is. Supposedly, there's a ship in the movie that's the same design or of the same type from it, and like maybe it's in the future or the past or whatever. I don't know. When it comes to the film's plot, it's reminiscent of Magnificent Seven, Seven Samurai. It's kind of a little bit of that arc, the few against many, and the few protecting the many, that kind of thing. In this case, one guy for the most part. It's actually really good. I really enjoyed this movie. If you want a really cool popcorn action, I mean, this is actually a good reference here. It's a high def assault. That's Rambo, Death Wish, and Dirty Harry in outer space. I mean, that's actually pretty accurate. So very cool movie. If you want to check out a nice action 90s movie that actually holds up really well to today, I would check out Soldier. Next is a film from 1996 that actually is a loose predecessor to Lord of the Rings, The Frighteners. Peter Jackson directed this, starring Michael J. Fox. What's interesting about this was that this was the movie that Peter Jackson directed and his effects team did. The same effects team, of course, for Lord of the Rings is what got New Line's attention and made them decide to give them the opportunity to make Lord of the Rings, because Peter Jackson and his team showed that they can do effects under budget and on time and do them really well. Because this movie has very good effects for the time. Michael J. Fox is really good in this. So if you're a Back to the Future fan, you want to see something else that's fun with Michael J. Fox, this is a supernatural comedy, action, adventure, kind of like Ghostbusters. I'm not saying it's just like Ghostbusters in terms of tone. It's not scary. It's more of a comedy than anything else, but it has a lot of effects. So it kind of makes you think. It's almost, you could say it's like Back to the Future meets Ghostbusters a little bit, just in terms of you got Michael J. Fox, you got the Ghostbusters element, you got effects, you got comedy, you got ghosts and supernatural. So it's a cool little movie. Always really enjoyed it, and Peter Jackson, of course, being talented as he is, and his effects team. It's just neat to know that this was kind of what led to them getting the deal to make the Lord of the Rings films. So yeah, check it out. Next is a 1981 werewolf movie with the twist, Wolfen. So this is a unique little movie. If you like werewolves, you'll certainly dig this. Even if you don't like werewolves, or at least don't like how werewolf movies tend to be, this is a unique one. It's kind of a supernatural crime thriller mystery. So, or even suspense thriller, you could say, but it involves, of course, werewolves. So it's very unique in that regard. It is not your typical approach to the werewolf genre subject matter. It's a neat little movie, and ahead of its time, very interesting. There was really nothing else. I've never seen a werewolf movie like this. There's some good werewolf movies. I think this is one of the more hidden gem ones that's actually really worth checking out. It's a very interesting movie. So yeah, if you like that, if you are intrigued by that, I recommend it. Next is a 1997 monster movie, The Relic. I've always really liked this movie. Tom Sizemore is really good in this. This is actually the only starring role I've ever seen of Penelope Ann Miller. She's been in a few different things, but she's quite good in this. But the effects are really cool for the time. This is as classic of a monster movie as it gets. It also, if you're a fan of, for on the video game side of things, if you're a fan of Parasite Eve, maybe it was the timing of when it came out. I mean, well, this came out before the game, but I watched it after playing the game back in the day. There's something about this, that the Museum of Natural History setting, her and the dress she's wearing, and she and like the way she looks, like there's something about, and the way it's about genetics and altered genes and stuff like that, in terms of the subject matter of the science fiction subject matter of what makes the monster what it is, and what the themes are. There's a lot of things that remind me of Parasite Eve that I always felt like was loosely connected to this, like spiritually connected to this in a weird way that nobody's ever talked about. So, you might think I'm crazy, but that I've always felt that way about this movie. I've always associated it with Parasite Eve. Just a touch, just enough to make it fun. If you're a Parasite Eve fan, it just reminds me of it. It makes me think of it. So, very cool movie. If you like a good monster movie, or you're a Parasite Eve fan, you want to see, because there's not exactly a lot out there that's like Parasite Eve. So, yeah, check it out. Next is my favorite Tim Burton film, Edwood. So this 1994 film is absolutely hilarious. It's a wonderful movie. It's my favorite performance from Johnny Depp as Edwood. Of course, Edwood is the real life 1950s director that is considered the worst director of all time. Martin Landau won Best Supporting Actor, depicting Bela Lugosi in this. He's absolutely wonderful. Everybody's great in this. Shot in black and white. It really puts you in the 1950s. For those not familiar with the type of biopic this is, it's very much like The Disaster Artist, which is, of course, the biopic and depiction, comedic depiction, that is, of the behind the scenes of the making of The Room and Tommy Wiseau, if you're familiar with that. So this is very much like that, except for Ed Wood. And it is super quotable, hilarious, accurate to the real life story of Ed Wood and the behind the scenes. And it's super meticulous in the detail of when you watch the real actual Plan 9 from Outer Space movie that this is about, and other movies as well, but that's the one they depict the most. And the way they recreated scenes and the way the actors look like the original actors did, it's absolutely fantastic. I can't recommend it enough. Check it out. Okay, real quick before we get to our last movie, I want to take a quick look at Dragon Slayer. So this is the 4K Steelbook, brand new release of it. I've never seen the movie, so I can't recommend it one way or the other. I'm going to check it out because I heard that it's a fun 80s movie and it was kind of ahead of its time and effects and stuff. But so not only is it beautiful artwork and everything, but here's the thing that got me, that really amazed me about this. So, for example, here's Enter the Dragon, 4K Blu-ray, right? All these 4K Blu-rays come with these backsides that usually have that temporary glue substance that just sticks on there and you just peel it off, right? I always keep these cards because that's basically the back box art aside from the steelbook, right? So that's fine. I always keep these, but they just kind of, they're just loose and it's not very convenient. So this was something I've never seen before, and I really like what they did here. So you got the slip art, you got the steelbook. Now, notice what they did here. So here's the back art as usual, right? And it sits, right on top just like that other steelbook. But see the way they did it, where it's easily able to fit right in the slip case, and then it becomes a top piece for the movie, and it all fits together. I absolutely love this. I'm like, why aren't they doing this more? This is the perfect solution to, instead of it just being this just loosely on here for no reason. And I've even had other slip cases that don't have this. I'm like, if you're going to do it like this, where it becomes like a fully boxed in piece when you have it put together. Very cool. I just wanted to point that out. That I just noticed that, and I hope they do it more. Next is a very obscure, the most obscure on this list, 1988 film, Pin. This is a really interesting little movie. This is on DVD. This is the only physical media of this that I can find. It's hard to even find it on streaming. Very unique little movie. It's hard to label it because it's very psychological. It's also somewhat supernatural. It's kind of horror. It's very much thriller suspense. It's a little bit of all those things, but it's hard to pin it down because it's very unique, and it just tells I don't want to give away anything. It has a very unique, weird little story that is worth checking out if you like unique, suspenseful, psychological it's really unique, and it's a special little movie. I'd never heard of it in my life until my older brother told me about it, and then I found it on eBay on this DVD here. I spent it was like $30 for this. It is not easy to find, so if you manage to land one, hold on to it. It's a unique little movie that's way out of print. So yeah, Pin. So those are the movies I wanted to just talk about and check out a little bit. Give some love to movies that not everybody really talks about very much, or that I've really liked throughout time, and that especially for non-movie buffs, because movie buffs, like I said, a lot of you guys are gonna know what these are, but hey, you never know. I might have introduced you to at least a couple, and then hey, that's a win for me. So please like and subscribe. I'm really trying to get more subscribers. If I hit 1,000 subscribers, I'll actually finally be able to be properly monetized. Otherwise, I'm just with this one. I'm not monetized, and I want to keep the channel going. I want to keep doing this content. I want to do better content. So please please subscribe, hit the notification bell if you want to keep up with my videos, and I'll see you next time. God bless.